so we're on.
Welcome to the September 28th Glendale Housing Authority meeting being called to order at 2:37. And Mr. Kasakian, may we have the roll call, please?
Authority members: Draymond.
Here.
Friedman. Mincy.
Here.
Najarian.
Here.
Weaver.
Here.
Chair Quintero. Vice Chair Parazian.
Here. May we have your report, please?
The agenda for the September 28th, 2010 regular meeting of the Glendale Housing Authority was posted on Thursday, September 23, 2010 on the bulletin board outside City Hall.
Okay, do we have minutes?
Yes, we have on, I move the minutes approval August 24th. However, Mr. Najarian was absent. Just to make a note.
Yeah.
I knew that.
And I assume in that motion that includes the minutes for the meetings of September 21st,
Right.
joint meeting, and the regular Housing Authority meeting of September 21st as well.
Correct.
Who moved it and who's second?
I'll second it.
Thank you.
What is next, please?
Next is oral communications. There were no cards submitted.
I believe with the motion and second, without any objection, the minutes will stand approved as submitted, and I believe Mr. Najarian,
With my
although I didn't
abstention.
hear him, abstained
With
in the
my
minutes of
abstention.
August 24th.
That'll be reflected in a record. That was my understanding. There were no cards submitted, Madam Chair, for the oral
Okay,
communications.
since there is no card submitted, any new business agenda?
No. Are there any authority member or staff comments?
Well, I had a long speech prepared, but I'm going to pass up on it.
I'm sorry we don't have time. I'd like to move for an adjournment.
I'll second it.
Well, I had a comment.
Oh, he does have a real comment.
I just had a comment, and maybe maybe next meeting we can get a short explanation. I know that we ask you for this several, well, at least once a year. Contacted by a person living outside of Glendale who was awarded a Section 8 voucher from the City of Los Angeles. And the inquiry is, can I use that in the City of Glendale? I know the issue is portability, and I know we port 1,500 or so from L.A. to Glendale. If you can just give a brief statement explaining if one person in particular wants to port into Glendale, what process do they have to go through to make that happen?
Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the Housing Authority. Portability, as you stated, is Peter Zovac, Deputy Director of Housing. Portability, as you stated, is a feature within the Section 8 program that allows an individual who is issued a Section 8 voucher from one agency to move to another agency and then have that agency, second agency, control the voucher, meet with all the requirements and so forth. When you are issued a voucher from the issuing agency, you oftentimes are required to stay within that jurisdiction for a certain period of time. Oftentimes it's 1 year. And that issuing agency is the agency that has to give approval to allow that voucher to port out to another agency. So really the issue here is with the original issuing agency for that particular tenant you described. They must go to that agency, request that they be allowed to port out. That agency may or may not have procedures in place that will allow them to do that. Oftentimes they do have a requirement, a residency requirement, sometimes 1 year within the issuing agency before allowing the port out. There might be a circumstance of a reasonable accommodation that could be granted that could allow them to move out earlier.
And Glendale typically has no objection to
Receiving a
accepting
portability,
those.
no.
Maybe you can tell us, what is LA City's time frame, do you know?
I understand it's 1 year, and previously they were allowing reasonable accommodation requests to port out prior to that 1 year. If I'm not mistaken, I think I've heard that they've started to not allow that feature anymore, so there is a pretty hard 1 year residency requirement for that agency. I can double check, and if it's any different, I'll let
That's
you know.
even if they live in Glendale. They would have to move to L.A., spend a year, and then they could come back here.
Thank you.
Any new business new business?
Will we adjourn?
Second.
We are adjourned at 2:39. Thank you.